Here is a country of great contrast.
Great civilization of antiquity.
A foreign country a step away.
All right, we're back. It's the Casa de Cavazos. Justin in Chicago, Ada in Harlingen, Texas, and Brother Jared in New York City. Nathan is currently out. He is in Florida, so he won't be joining us today, but he'll be back for a future podcast to tell us all about that. How's it going? Did y'all enjoy that NBA action this weekend?
I didn't see any of it.
What? I do think it's funny that only Jared is called Brother Jared, even though we're all siblings.
I mean, I'm going to be an ordained minister, so you got to practice.
Anyway, despite me having an extremely rough week, finals week, I had a 20-page paper to write. I had a night shift on Friday where I actually stayed up all night.
Oh my
I still
God.
watched a lot of basketball.
Why'd you stay up all night?
I actually got patience through most of the night on Friday night, and I had to finish my paper, so that was helpful that it kept me up. So I was working on my paper in between the patients.
When was the last time you pulled an all-nighter for schoolwork?
I have not pulled all-nighters anymore, but this was only pulled because of the shift. I think if I didn't have that shift that night, I probably would have stayed up till about 2 a.m., then woken up about 7 a.m. because I still had some hours to work on it. I finished it during the shift, so it was fine.
Yeah, you don't usually get a lot of patients on the night shift, right?
In general, less people come in as the night goes on. People do go to sleep. But then sometimes people come in, well, I was asleep and then I woke up with this symptom. It's like, okay. Hopefully you're okay. We'll do some workup.
So the games. The games on Sunday. We got a good slate of them.
I don't even know which games because I'm just so excited by what happened before.
What happened before?
I mean, yesterday was crazy, especially that Denver Clippers game.
Okay, so we're going back in time.
Well, I'm not saying
Little
that.
bit.
I'm just saying I don't even know. I'm not prepared mentally for the games today because so much happened yesterday and even in the days prior.
Well, let's talk about that Clippers Nuggets game first.
Did you watch all of it?
I watched all of it. Becca was even around to watch some of it, and she had seen that they were up a lot, and then she went to go do some other stuff, and then came back. It's like, what? Why is it so close?
Wait, Becca's watching basketball now? This is a new development?
Not by choice, by association.
I mean, she could have just completely ignored it and just started reading a book and have no idea what was going on.
Well, she's on night shift, so there's limited time where we're overlapping
Yeah.
that we can actually spend together. So while she was making her breakfast, I was watching basketball.
This is your chance to get her into basketball.
I've had many years to do this. Nothing has stuck.
Okay. Well, I watched most of it. And at some point, it seemed like it was dire for the Clippers and they were just going to lose the game by 15 to 20 points. And then at the end, somehow they come back.
It was that defense. They started hounding all of their ball handlers, putting a lot of pressure, especially on Murray, forcing a lot of turnovers. Bogdanovich was huge as a defender on Murray down the stretch.
And also, he shoots some key threes, Bogdanovich. So
Mhm.
that helps out as well.
He's a baller.
Yep.
Did you see him in the Olympics this past summer?
I can't say that I did. What
He-
team did he play for?
Serbia with Jokic.
Oh, okay. So he was with Jokic. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see the game, but I got to see some of the messages that you all were sending on the group chat. And for those who aren't familiar, Nathan has a tendency to call a game very early on. In fact, he
just
was
a
already
game.
calling the series.
Yeah, the series.
I think it's a coping mechanism. I think it's a coping mechanism because Nathan is a Clippers fan, and whenever there is a team that he's a fan of that is potentially going to fail, he emotionally distances himself from it, so that in the scenario that they do lose, he was already emotionally prepared for them to lose, and if
Yeah.
they won, then they win.
Oh, that's also what he did during the Dodgers World Series. It was game 5, and he's like, the series is over. I'm like, what? It's not over. Even if they lose this game somehow, which was, I think, the game 5, they could still come back and win the series. And they ended up winning the World Series after he said that. The Dodgers.
So what do you think was the Clippers' biggest problem in this game?
I think their defense was bad for some large stretches.
For 3 quarters.
Yeah, and Jokic could do whatever he wanted. I mean, that's why they ended up losing.
Yeah, defensively they were able to contain Kawhi and Harden quite a bit for most of the game, and a lot of the role players who usually hit quite a bit were missing some pretty open shots for the Clippers. So that's usually not a winning strategy for them. But I think aside from turning up the heat on defense in the fourth, that's kind of where the depth difference between the two teams was shown, because those 5 starters, they played over 40 minutes each, all of them, and they don't even go that much deeper when Russell Westbrook is healthy. Russell Westbrook might play some additional minutes, but there are a lot of guys that didn't play for most of that game. There's the stat that keeps on coming up is a huge plus-minus difference when Jokic is on the floor versus off. And I think it was like plus 10 or something with Jokic on, and like minus 3. The plus-minus numbers with him off the floor are not good.
Well, considering that the Clippers are deeper and Harden and Kawhi are playing really well, I think that they could still come back and win the series. I mean, not that it's a comeback because it's 2-2, but now it's a 3-game series with Denver having home court.
Yeah, but the Clippers have already proven that they can win in Denver.
I mean, I think the Clippers definitely need the next one.
Yeah, to drop 2 at home in front of your owner, Steve Ballmer. Did you see all the intense video of him reacting? He's like, yeah!
Yeah,
He's, like,
so
pumping his arms.
I was watching him and I was thinking, that'd probably be me if I was the owner. I'd be that intense. Basketball screams, jumps.
Yeah, actually on courtside instead of some like old rich dude who's just up in the boxes, who's just observing like, yes, my team, my property.
Did y'all see the horse heads?
The what?
The horse heads.
I did not.
For the first home game in the series, they have this wall behind the one of the baskets where they have the most rabid fans, and they all had these like horse heads that people could put on whenever Jokic was shooting free throws because of his love of horses.
What? No.
I didn't see that somehow.
Do you think it was effective?
Hold on, you gotta see this.
Okay.
Jokic did miss 1 free throw.
Jokic also missed the last shot of the game. It was an air ball. But because they put so many people on him, Gordon was pretty much free to get that rebound and dunk it.
Well, it's not like they put like the entire team on him.
I thought it was just going to be like a cardboard cutout or something.
No, they're actually like these high quality like plush horse heads.
Elite mental warfare. Damn.
I'm surprised more people aren't talking about it, but yeah.
That's funny. He did miss some key, or at least 1 key free throw there at the end.
Yeah.
And then the second one, they said, oh, he missed the second one, but then it like bounced in. But that whole sequence there at the end also was crazy. How Gordon like barely got the dunk in, and it's like there was a split second left.
It looked good from the start. But, I mean, it's hard. Like when you're a referee in the moment, like, you have to make that split-second decision, and you need a huge preponderance of evidence to overturn it. And barely any of the angles were conclusive. There was one angle that I can't find online that they did show on ESPN later. That was the one that they used to make the decision. And basically, between the 2 frames of the video, his fingers were like barely off of it. The buzzer changed from clear to red on the backboard. But it was super close.
Even if he doesn't make it, it would have gotten to overtime, right?
Yeah.
And so the Clippers still may have lost. We don't know what would have happened. Jokic was unstoppable. Like, Zubac couldn't really control him.
I mean, Zubac was pretty stout against him really early on. It wasn't really when he was up against Zubac that he was doing all of his work. There were a lot of times where you might have had Ben Simmons or Norman Powell on Jokic down low, or maybe even Batum. And that's where he was doing a lot of his work. I think where Jokic was beating Zubac a little bit was more on the perimeter.
I mean, there was that one play towards the end where Jokic did some unbelievable pivoting moves and just scored over Zubac fairly easily.
He's king of footwork. This is a little horse dance.
A horse dance? Is that what it's called? Or
No. Do you know about the Sambor Shuffle?
no?
That's what they call that one-footed Jokic step back.
I did not know that, sir.
Yeah, the Sombor Shuffle. Yeah, I think the Nuggets have a lot to take away from this game. I think they have found something in terms of their offensive lineups when it comes to facing a pretty intense defense from the Clippers. I feel like they just got to keep on bringing Zubats out to the perimeter and using their size advantage with Gordon on the inside. If they can't manipulate that, then they don't really have a shot. Their most successful movement in the first couple of quarters was also during transition. They were just killing the Clippers in transition. Every time there was a missed shot or a rebound, they were running down the court, finding the right guys, finding the right openings.
Yeah. So the Cavs Heat game was not particularly interesting.
I thought it was interesting just to watch the Cavs and see how unstoppable they looked.
Just to see how good they are.
Yeah. Like, even with their backs against the wall at home, Miami could do nothing. They just looked like JV players playing against the varsity team.
I mean, the Heat did have a losing record. Like,
Hey,
their regular season record was a losing record.
Hey, they
And-
earned that 8 seed, okay?
Okay, but they had a 37-45 record, and the Cavs had a 64-18 record. So that would be consistent with the Cavs looking like varsity and the Heat looking like JV.
Tyler Hero said, like, we're not going to go out 4-0, I'll tell you that.
I think he's wrong.
They're just too good. All that size on the interior with Mobley and Allen is too much for them, and they're such an active defense. They've got a bunch of really solid guys out there. Mitchell and Garland on offense. Former Heat player Max Strus is a good effort guy.
Yeah. I mean, Donovan Mitchell only made 13 points, and they still killed the Heat by almost 40 points.
They have so many ways to kill you. I feel like watching that, even though they're way better than the Heat, it makes me feel more confident about picking them over the Celtics, as long as they can stay healthy.
Are you sure? Because the Celtics still have most of their pieces. And if KP is healthy, they're still going to be really good.
I'm just saying the Cavs look unstoppable. You'd
I mean,
really
sometimes
need to
that
bother
happens
them on
when
the
you're playing
perimeter.
against crap teams. Like, we have to see them actually play the Celtics to see what's really going to happen.
I mean, I guess you'd have to count on Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Jason Tatum bothering their good perimeter guys, like Garland and Mitchell.
Yeah.
Like, how much can they actually bother them? And even if they are able to do that, what are you going to do about Mobley in the interior?
Did you watch the Thunder Grizzlies game?
Yeah, a little bit.
Apparently, it was pretty close, but still, OKC wins the series 4-0.
Yeah, you can see that the Grizzlies were fighting for pride in front of their home crowd, but OKC was welcoming that rest. I think they wanted it to be over, finish the job. I really would like to see Shea win that MVP this year.
Are they thinking that he's going to win it?
I mean, he's probably the top candidate. I think the only other person who would win it at this point is Jokic. But I think a lot of people would point at the records. It's kind of hard to deny someone who is the best player on the best team in the NBA.
So, end of the day was Rockets Warriors. Did you see that one?
Of course I saw it.
Do you ever get the sense that the Warriors are kind of looking like that year they beat Boston in the finals? Like, you just don't think that they're good enough to beat teams, but they just beat them somehow?
Sometimes.
Because they really shouldn't be up 2-1 on Houston.
Yeah,
Without Butler.
especially without Jimmy.
Yeah, without Jimmy. Steph was insane.
Well, you could see like he was kind of pacing himself in that first quarter, kind of trying to see, okay, what can my guys do with me with this lineup? And then at a certain point in the second, he was just like, it looks like I'm going to have to do a lot of this myself.
Yeah, so Curry played 41 minutes. He had 36 points and 9 assists, 7 rebounds. I mean, did you see that assist where he did like a full like pirouette in the air and
Yeah, toss it to
kick it
Gary
out?
Payton Jr. in the quarter.
Yeah. That's insane.
I know some people were concerned about Kuminga having to pick up some slack in the lineup. But it doesn't look like there was too much damage there, though he was the only starter who ended up with a negative plus-minus for the game.
I feel like Curry just willed them to the victory. And so I wonder if he can do that again, like that year that they won their last championship. Like, just will them to it. And when Butler's back, that's going to be helpful too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was contingent on their defense. I mean, they've played really good defense for the rest of the year ever since Butler came in, but they were able to maintain that here. I don't know how much of it was that the Rockets just were missing a lot of shots that they would normally make, but they were hounding them hard. Draymond looked like he was a couple of years younger out there, the way that he was defending Şengün and everyone who was coming at the interior. You have like a lot of young guys who might not be quite ready for the moment on the Rockets, and that's kind of the biggest problem with them. When it comes to crunch time and getting back into the game, who is your fire starter? Who is the person who's going to get you back into that game?
Yeah.
You would think it would be Şengün. It seemed like Draymond and Looney, whenever he was in, were giving him problems. Maybe Fred VanVleet with his championship pedigree, but he just doesn't have the size a lot of the time to really open things up for you. And a lot of their younger guys, they're still coming. You know, there are some really, really bad misses from Amen Thompson in crunch time.
I don't really know who a lot of the players on Houston are. Like, I really didn't watch them that much during the season. So when you say names, I don't really know.
You don't know who Amen Thompson is?
I don't recognize them by looking at them.
The twins?
I am very dependent on like recognizing people, and I don't recognize most of them. Şengün's the one that I started to recognize recently.
Yeah, Amen Thompson's the Rockets rookie, and he and his twin brother were these really good players who just skipped college and went straight to G League Ignite.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think I'll learn a lot more during the playoffs now that I'm done with my semester.
You don't recognize Jalen Green from the same Wingstop commercial that he's always in?
I apparently don't really see that commercial. I don't know.
No, I have a question about your professional medical opinion on Jimmy Butler's ass injury.
Well, supposedly he was pretty much ready to play. He warmed up and they just decided he should rest. So I guess they felt confident enough that they could see what happened in this game and then just bring him back game 4. So it sounds like it's probably just some bruising.
So the official report from the Warriors was that it was a pelvis contusion,
right,
and deep gluteal muscle contusion.
Yeah, so contusion basically means bruising.
Mm-hmm.
So inflammation, microbleeding. So not something real serious.
So you think he'll be good to go for game 4?
Well, that's what I'm reading. Yeah. And he might have been able to play this game too.
Yeah, I feel like on the Kuminga side of things, I've seen some think pieces and articles out there where they say that Kuminga was kind of the biggest loser of the Jimmy Butler trade because he was kind of in a similar role to Jimmy Butler, and it was just harder for him to get more minutes in there. So, I don't know. It kind of seemed like when he was out there on the floor, he was trying to prove something and sometimes not making good decisions because of it. But man, like, the Warriors had a lot of careless turnovers in that first half, but they cleaned it up later. Like, I think they had like 5 turnovers in the first or second quarter, and they only ended with 10.
Yeah, it also looked at the beginning like Houston was just going to beat them pretty easily. Like, Houston could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah,
So
I don't
somehow
know.
they
It
turned
just
around.
kind of seemed like they realized that Jimmy wasn't going to be there, so they really wanted to throw their guys at Steph. So Steph was getting hounded and doubled super early on. They just wanted to make his life a lot harder, but it just seemed like they were too aggressive. They fouled a lot, and Dylan Brooks got into super early foul trouble. He had like 3 fouls in the first half.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks fouled out. Let's see, how many fouls? Over 14 fouls from... No, sorry, 17 fouls from the Rockets. They only went 7 deep. Got some good minutes from Quinton Post. He's a very interesting player for them. He's the Warriors rookie who sometimes will play center. It was a very interesting decision to start him. He is not as strong as, say, Steven Adams. Have you heard how a lot of people consider Steven Adams to be like the strongest player in the NBA?
I'm not sure.
No, look up a YouTube compilation when you have free time of Steven Adams being the strongest player in the NBA or people talking about him. There was even
I'll
an
have to check
interview
it
with
out.
Jimmy Butler talking about a screen that he ran to that Steven Adams set. A lot of people saying that when they get screened by Steven Adams, it feels like you're running to a brick wall.
That's crazy.
But Quinton Post is really interesting for them. He spaces the floor. Usually a solid 3-point shooter, but he was 0 for 3 last night. I don't know. It's a toss-up. I After watching all the games, though, as good as they were, I don't think anyone can beat OKC in the West. Like I was watching that Denver Clippers game, and I was just thinking, man, like these teams have like too many flaws to really face OKC if they're healthy.
But remember what Golden State did that year against Boston. Either Golden State or some other team could do the same thing. Just basically somehow will themselves to win.
They just don't got the size.
I remember watching that series. Do you remember
Yeah,
watching the Golden State Boston series
20
at the beginning? It was like,
2022.
there's no freaking way. There's no freaking way Golden State can beat Boston. They're too small. They're not as athletic. It's just going to be a beatdown. And somehow Golden State made it happen in 6, right?
The only team that probably would really have the size would be Minnesota.
If
Yeah.
they can beat the Lakers.
Oh, they'll beat the Lakers. I'm calling it right now. Ant's not going to let LeBron punk him. He's not going to let 40-year-old LeBron beat him in the series.
I just had someone reach out to me this week because they stumbled upon the pod and had a lot of questions, including, do y'all watch that much basketball? And my answer was, Nathan does. Ada hate watches LeBron, mostly.
Okay, here's the thing. I used to watch more basketball, but then ever since I've been in law school, that has impeded me from watching as much basketball as I want. And so what ends up happening is I tend to catch up in between semesters. So my semester just ended, and so that means it's time for lots of basketball, especially now that it's the playoffs.
Was the assumption that we didn't know what we were talking about, or what?
No, just curiosity. It's just that you could talk that much about basketball.
I mean, we're not even close to like Zach Lowe or Bill Simmons. Those people, that's their job, so they watch way more.
Multiple TVs with the multi-view, just watching multiple games at a time.
I mean, I wish
League
I could do
Pass.
that, honestly. But unfortunately, law school and work gets in the way. So I think what's good about this particular dynamic is that Nathan watches a lot of basketball, and then some of us also watch basketball when we can, and it adds up together to a lot of knowledge.
Okay, Ada, I have an activity for you. I'm going to name a couple of players, and you tell me whether you recognize their names or not, okay?
I told you that I've not been as good since law school.
Let's try it. Let's try it.
Who he
Okay.
play for?
Okay. Shake Milton.
Yeah, I recognize that name.
Who's he play
Dorian
for?
Finney-Smith.
Oh, yeah, of course.
What about Jonathan Goodwin?
No, I don't know.
Alex Len.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Jared Vanderbilt.
Was he on the Lakers at some point?
He's on the
Is he
Lakers
on
right
them now?
now.
Okay.
Markieff Morris.
What?
Oh, yeah, come on, the Twins.
Okay, so what I was doing, because for some reason Ada could not identify a starter on the Rockets, was naming all of the bench players from the last Lakers game. And Ada was a solid, 5 out of 6?
I don't know. It
I'm
might have
telling
been
you,
4.
Ada's very familiar with the Lakers. She watches them.
I don't even watch them that much anymore because LeBron is old and he's not going to win a championship, sir.
Yeah. I will say growing up, we talk about these media narratives sometimes about how ESPN is all in on the Lakers, even when the Lakers aren't that good. So when the Lakers are okay, they're like, oh man, the Lakers are amazing. We're going to, what is their potential for winning a championship? And then the folks on TNT will be like, why are we playing these garbage games with this Lakers team that can't win shit?
Yeah.
But when you're in a market like South Texas, chances are you're only really going to be able to watch a lot of those nationally televised games. And a lot of the time you're just going to be watching the Lakers.
I
most
do
of the
have
time.
NBA League Pass, just FYI.
No,
I
I
have
know.
splurged
I know
on that
you
for
have
many
League
years.
Pass, but I'm just saying, like in the scenario where you don't.
Yeah, that's true. I do want to say that I have watched enough basketball that I can watch a game from far away, and a lot of players, I can recognize them just from the way they move and their body shapes. I'll be like, oh, is that Jamal Crawford? And then I go up close, I'm like, oh, yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, he's not playing anymore, but
No, I'm just saying in the past. Or Reggie Jackson. Like, I can tell what the players look like and how they move. Like, I have studied them that much.
so when did you start to love basketball?
Yeah, so I tried to figure that out yesterday because you guys sent me that Kevin Harlan montage. And I was watching it and like tears were shedding from my eyes because I was that into it.
Like you were nostalgic and emotional, or you thought it was super funny?
Both. I mean, he had like clips from Kevin Garnett, Kobe, T-Mac.
LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Just FYI, he threw in that, or whoever made the video threw in the recent Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Geometrically, that should not have happened.
Also, the one with the Warriors Lakers game where Reggie's like, "Are you tired of saying good?" No.
So I tried to figure out when I started watching basketball, and I am pegging it to around age 10 or 11. Because I'm trying to like think about how far back can I remember. And the things I remember the most are actually college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christian Laettner, Duke, 1991, 1992. So I'm thinking that that's around the time I really got into it. So I was born in 1981. So that would say about 10 or 11. Maybe I was age 9. I'm not sure. And so I tried to think back, like NBA wise, what do I remember? Like, I don't remember the beginning of Jordan. So it wasn't that far back. I do remember Magic Johnson announcing that he had HIV and retiring and then playing in the All-Star game at some point. I remember all of the Kobe career. I remember like David Robinson pretty early on when they'd play Hakeem and get killed in the playoffs.
Do you remember the Malice in the Palace?
What is Malice in the Palace? Is that when Artest got into a fight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was it
Yes.
Pacers Pistons?
Yes, I remember that.
Wasn't Reggie Miller part of that? Kind of.
I don't remember. But what I do remember is when Reggie Miller had that crazy sequence where he scored 8 points in how many seconds? 9 seconds against the Knicks.
To ice the game.
The Reggie Miller series with the Knicks and fighting with Spike Lee.
So what do you think got you into it?
I mean, our dad watches a lot of sports and we didn't have cable. So a lot of this watching that would happen over the weekend would be sports. Whatever the big games were over the weekend that were nationally televised. I mean, I don't know what it was like in the past. I don't know if there was like a league pass that people would buy. I have no idea. But we didn't have cable, so we'd watch whatever was on over the weekend.
Were you a Spurs fan then, or did it take a while?
I was a Spurs fan in high school for sure. I remember like watching certain series, playoff series that the Spurs were in. They'd lose a game and then I would feel horrible for 2 days waiting for the next game, hoping the Spurs would get the next one. But yeah, like I was just thinking about NBA is one of my favorite things in life. Like, what would my life be like without NBA? I mean, just looking at that Kevin Harlan montage, all those incredible moments. And those aren't even like the greatest moments. They were just moments that Kevin Harlan called really well.
Yeah.
I'm already crying right now.
I mean, did you see the outpouring of emotion and gratitude when Hubie Brown retired?
I didn't get to. I don't know what I was doing.
Like Mike Breen was like talking to Hubie Brown on his last broadcast, and Mike Breen was choking up a little bit too.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, Hubie Brown was a good game caller as well. But I think that the Harlan montage was really interesting because it went across multiple eras and it showed like what's amazing about the NBA. I think it's actually getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the quality of play is better. The athleticism, Steph Curry, the way he plays, the crazy things he does. And then also like the commentators are right there. And that whole montage, that whole sequence with Jamal Murray when he hits that half court shot. And Jamal Murray like literally flexes right in front of Kevin Harlan and looks at him. And then Kevin Harlan's like yelling in his face like, he got it. He got it. Big time 3. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen in any other sport.
Well, is it even possible to happen in any other sport?
Well, the NFL, the commentator crews are way up in the stadium.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
it's the same
like-
thing was happening with Kevin Harlan with the Nuggets Clippers game yesterday when that scuffle broke out near the end of the second quarter. He was like, "It's happening right in front of us."
Yeah. And I think it also came up in the same video that the players are even aware of the commentators and they're like literally kind of bantering with them throughout the game.
Mhm. Sometimes they can hear them.
Can they hear them?
Maybe. I mean, if they're loud enough. If Kevin Harlan is screaming.
Yeah, there was that one where Kevin Harlan is like, Steph Curry has not missed a free throw all year. And then he misses. And then I think they were saying that Steph Curry kind of acknowledged that Kevin Harlan's probably saying something.
Steph pointed at him.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like, I don't know. This game is so good. You always have those incredible moments during the playoffs, like that Aaron Gordon dunk yesterday. I mean, it's always going to happen. There's always going to be some kind of crazy drama.
Yeah.
And the athleticism and the play is just so good.
The skill level is insane. It just boggles my mind sometimes, all the things that these people do on the court. Even the people who are at the end of these bench rotations, it's just routine for them.
I mean, did you see that three that Powell hit towards the end of the Clippers game
Mm-hmm.
where he was like not set at all and just kind of like smoothly jumped into a three
It's crazy.
and made it easily?
Yeah, they practice this stuff all the time. It's their full-time job. They've been doing it for years.
I would almost argue that Steph Curry is the one who's improved basketball to this extent. I think people have been trying to play like Curry for a long time, and what he does is insane.
And no one can play like Curry.
I mean, maybe someone will eventually.
Some people were saying for a while that Trae Young was kind of like the next like Steph-like, but he's not.
You have to have that level of movement,
Mm-hmm.
creativity,
Yeah.
craziness. Just shoot a three from the logo.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't play a lot of pickup basketball, but if you did, you'd see just how many people just jack up these ill-advised threes.
But that's not what
Even-
Steph is doing.
But if you're in the community, people are always like, this is what Steph has done to the game.
Well, but now during the playoffs, it's becoming clear that all the players are becoming really good at threes, and it actually makes it a good product.
Yeah, and the way that things tend to open up on the inside, I think is a lot more exciting. And what I really like about watching the Warriors and the Nuggets play is that they don't just do that, but they use the threat of a three-point shooter to open up some really nice passing lanes. And they're always active. They're always trying to find someone. And the best teams are really trying to just dissect defenses like that. And that's the beautiful game.
It is very beautiful. Makes me cry.
Have you seen the beautiful game, like the Spurs 2014 YouTube mini documentary?
I'm not sure if I have.
I just sent it to someone recently who was getting into basketball. I was like, you must watch this. You will love the game now.
Yeah, I think I started watching, like my first like core memory of basketball was probably the 2006 or 2007 playoffs. The Spurs were playing against the Mavs, and it was Game 7. It came down to the wire, and Manu Ginobili just fouled Dirk Nowitzki on a three-pointer,
Oh, yeah.
and those 3 free throws iced the game and let the Mavericks move on their way to an appearance to the NBA Finals.
That was 06.
06.
They lost to the Heat that year.
That was my first memory of basketball. I don't know how long it took me to really get into it after that. I mean, especially not having cable.
I just think about the 07 Spurs championship run, but mostly the finals. I think after that, I started watching a bit more obsessively.
I think my favorite was 2014 because that was after the Spurs had blown the finals. It was so bad that I actually felt sick and depressed for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was in Germany at the time, and I'm not someone who loses sleep over basketball, but the way the 2013 finals ended, I was losing sleep over that game.
That was horrible.
So then you wait a whole year, and it wasn't even clear that San Antonio was going to make it back. I believe in their first series of the playoffs in 2014, they went
They
7.
went to 7.
With the
Yep.
Grizzlies, who were the 8th seed. But they had crushed the rest of the league at that point. But then after that, they woke up.
No, it wasn't the Grizzlies. It was the Mavs round 1. They
Oh, it was
swept
the
the
Mavs?
Grizzlies. We have a picture in our college apartment at the time where my roommate went up with the broom after the Grizzlies series because
Yeah.
they swept them.
So then they get to the finals. It wasn't real clear that they were going to beat the Heat. So it was a rematch of 2013.
Because the first
Yeah.
game was close.
Yeah. So as the series moves on, somehow the Spurs get better and more dialed in. We were at that game. Me, Nathan, and Dad. We
Game
went
5?
to the game 5. It was amazing. Like, that was one of the greatest moments of my life.
Yeah,
So-
and that was wild because that game started, like, the Heat were playing with intensity. It seemed like
Yes.
they were going to, like, come back and, do something in the series, but then they just crack the game open.
Yeah, so I was there. Heat start 22-6. And obviously the crowd is deflated. But then the Spurs start to come back, and one particular part of the comeback is Ginobili just takes it all the way down and dunks it.
Old man Ginobili slam.
That feeling was amazing. It was like Rucker Park. Like, people wanted to like run onto the court. And after that, basically, Spurs ended up killing the Heat in that game.
My favorite moment was the third quarter, like the back-to-back-to-back Ginobili and Mills threes.
Yeah. It felt like a celebration most of the game, like a coronation celebration. We were just jumping up and down and screaming most of the game. Well, I was, at least.
Did San Antonio go crazy? What was the vibe there?
Well, I've been in multiple cities that have been championship cities. Like, I've been in Philly as well during championships. The vibe is always going to be crazy. Like, people are just honking all over the place. That's just how it is. I mean, it is fun, but like the championship experience, I would recommend it for everyone if you ever have that opportunity to be there for a game-clinching championship game.
Oh, you mean like when Nathan was talking about going to the Yankees Game 5? Yankees Dodgers?
So I need to rephrase it. I said it all screwed up. I would recommend that if people ever have the opportunity, they should go to a championship clinching game, because when your team wins it, it's just amazing. The feeling, like, people you don't know, you're like high-fiving them all around you. Like, everyone is in that same community and they're all celebrating together. It's just such a high-level experience in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I talk about when you encounter people who are like, sports. It's just like, you have stuff that you're excited about. Like, it's a community thing if you really understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the stories, too. That's how you
Well,
get
and
people
that-
into it. You tell them the storylines.
And that 2014 championship was particularly sweet because of what had happened in 2013. So to feel so bad in 2013 and then to feel so good in 2014. I watched the championship parade, and Ginobili even said it. He's like, I know how bad y'all felt. Like, I felt it too. And for this to happen, like, it's just amazing compared to what we felt in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the sweetest. And it was one of the most dominant playoff runs in NBA history.
Yeah.
Because at some point, it turned around for the Spurs in that series where they looked like robotic how good they were.
It was a beautiful game. I've talked to some people where they find out that like I'm a Spurs fan, and then when they're not in the playoffs, like, well, who are you going for in the playoffs? I was like, I don't know. Basketball is amazing. I'm just watching because it's fun.
Yeah.
I like all these players, most of them.
Wait, so who are you rooting for now?
It's a good question.
I'm rooting for Golden State primarily.
I mean, I feel like it's
just because
on a per series basis. It's just like who scratches that good basketball itch. I feel like right now it's the Cavs.
For me, it's not good basketball. In fact, it's pretty ugly basketball. But because I'm here, I'm rooting for the Knicks.
I don't think they have ugly basketball.
I think they have ugly basketball.
Really?
It's a lot of ISO.
So you mean compared to like the Steph style basketball, it's ugly?
I mean, any Tom Thibodeau team is going to have ugly basketball. That's the whole vibe. Play your guys like for like 40 plus minutes.
I do want to go back a little bit to the 2014 Spurs because I always wonder why other people cannot reproduce that defense. That defense was able to double people and then recover very quickly. And I find it interesting that not a lot of teams have been able to reproduce that.
I think it was chemistry. I mean, that was one of the big things from 2013 and 2014. They retained almost the entire roster from that championship run. So when you have that level of continuity, you have that kind of team defense chemistry where you can just switch and recover and know where everybody's spots are.
Yeah, I mean, you think about teams like Cleveland, like OKC, like Boston, their lineups have not changed that much over the last couple of years. They've been able to retain a lot of guys, and sometimes they've picked up some veterans on smaller contracts that have been good fits for them, like Derek White, like Al Horford on the Celtics.
Yeah. We rewatched that 2014 series at some point when Jared was around.
It's a great series to watch.
I should rewatch it again. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. All right, quick picks. Quick picks for today. 12 p.m. game. We got New York against Detroit. In Detroit, New York leads 2-1 on ABC.
Detroit wins.
You
I got the
Detroit.
Knicks.
I think Detroit can tie it up. They've played New York really tight lately. All right, 2:30 game. Lakers in Minnesota. I don't even need to ask Ada. Ada's gonna pick the Timberwolves.
Timberwolves are going to win. They're going to deflate the Lakers. Ant is going to play well.
I think the T-Wolves got the Lakers figure out at this point.
I don't know. I think the Lakers even the series with a vintage LeBron game and a bunch of help from the refs. Also, like, I feel like Luka hasn't really had like a supernova superstar game yet in the series, so I feel like he's due for one. Boston Orlando at 6 p.m.
I think Boston takes control of the series 3-1.
Yeah, I agree. As much as I like how spunky the Magic have been, I'm not sure they get past one game.
Yeah, I think Boston comes back with a vengeance. That game was pretty close last time, and I think they have something to prove, even though they're the 2 seed. I think they want to shut up the people who think that Cleveland can beat them, which I think they can, but you got to believe that you're the best team. And tonight, Indiana at Milwaukee. Milwaukee would need to win at home to tie up the series.
I honestly have not been paying attention to this series.
That's a
It's
good
quite
series.
sad to
There have been
state.
good games in there.
Even with Dame shooting like crap.
Well, he's coming back from injury, so it's probably more him being rusty.
The team was plus 16 with him in the game, even though he shot 2 of 12 from the field.
Wow.
Well, he might have some, not quite to the extent that Steph does, but some kind of gravity for his shooting. And that opens up things for Giannis quite a bit.
I would guess that now that Dame is going to start rounding back into form, they'll win this game and tie up the series.
Indiana has a lot of good energy. They're really swarming around the ball. They have a good coach in Rick Carlisle. They just weren't hitting. They weren't executing that last game. I feel like it's a toss-up for me, but Milwaukee at home, that Fiserv Forum crowd is pretty crazy. I've been there at a playoff game, so I'm going to take Milwaukee for Game 4. We'll see how that all pans out, but I think that's all the time that we have for today. So check out the website. We got a website up. Follow us on all the platforms. Subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. We have a forum on the website now too, if you don't want to email us directly at casadecavasospod@gmail.com. If you have a mailbag question, send it on over. We'll talk to you. See you later.
Until next time.
Goodbye.